games in the first round of the NBA playoffs for the Dallas Mavericks. The head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, of course, is Rick Carlisle, a former assistant coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, making his 8th career playoff appearance as a head coach and 4 games under 500. That's what he was at the start of the playoffs. 2 wins and 2 losses so far in this series, and 39 and 43 for his career. The Dr. Pepper starting lineup's not changing tonight. Jason Kidd and Deshaun Stevenson, a combined 28 years of experience, both from Northern California, San Francisco, and Fresno, respectively. They're the starting backcourt for Dallas. And up front, it's Sean Marion coming off his first double-double of the series. Dirk Nowitzki is the other forward, and Tyson Chandler in the middle at center, 7-1 in his 10th year from Dominguez High School in Compton, California. Nate McMillan is the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. Nate has also coached the Seattle Supersonics to the playoffs before. He's in the playoffs for the 3rd straight year with Portland. They have not made it out of the first round, losing last year in 6 games to Phoenix, 2 years ago to Houston in the first round in 6 games as well. Playoff record, 14 wins, 18 losses. Here's his Dr. Pepper starting lineup, and it's no surprise that's not changing either. Andre Miller in his 12th year out of Utah. Wesley Matthews in his 2nd year from Marquette. That's your starting backcourt for Portland. Up front, Gerald Wallace in his 10th year from Alabama. LaMarcus Aldridge in his 5th year from Texas are the forwards. And the center, 37 years old, Marcus Camby in his 15th year from UMass. Those are tonight's starting lineups. It's Mavericks basketball on TXA 21 with Derek Harper. I'm Mark Followell. Game 5, we're about to bring it to you. But before we do, we introduce the 3rd member of our crew, Jeff Skin Wade from 103.3 FM, ESPN. Skin?
Well, thank you, Mark, and I'm having a hard time hearing you, and I take that as a really good sign. Rick Carlisle said after Game 4 he wanted the crowd to be like it was in the Rose Garden, and so far, a very good sign. Also, keep in mind that the 2 biggest fourth-quarter performances in the playoffs this year have been Dirk in Game 1 with 18, and then, of course, Brandon Roy with 18 in Game 4. In Game 4, Portland did a good job of getting Dirk out of position where he likes to catch the ball. Dallas has studied that, they're very aware of it, and they've got some new wrinkles in case Portland sends waves of guys at Dirk tonight.
Roy is coming off the bench again, as he has throughout the series, and he has ever since he came back from having both knees scoped in January when he returned to their lineup out of the All-Star break. The opening tip is controlled by Portland, and we are underway. The winner of Game 5 and series tied 2-2 has gone on to win the series nearly 83% of the time in best-of-7 series. And Portland off the jump commits an offensive foul. A collision between Gerald Wallace and Deshaun Stevenson. And the foul on Wallace is his first and a Portland turnover 12 seconds into the game.
If that's an indication how it's going to be a war. It's going to be a very physical game. That was a tough screen set by Wallace.
In Portland, the Trailblazers won Game 3, 97-92. And then won Game 4 in the now very well-noted improbable fashion with their huge fourth-quarter comeback, rallying from down 23 late in the 3rd and 18 to start the 4th to win the game 84-82 and even up the series at 2 games apiece. Can Dallas get control back tonight? Kidd, after an offensive rebound by the Mavs, has it stolen by Gerald Wallace. And Wallace gets Portland on the board with a fast break basket off the turnover.
That was bad spacing. Sean Marion and Jason Kidd stood side by side, which allowed Wallace to get a hand on the ball.
To the basket, Dirk drives, had it knocked away at the rim. Tyson Chandler on the follow, earns a trip to the free throw line. 58 seconds into the game. The first team foul was called there on Portland. That's on Marcus Camby for his first. And a trip to the free throw line here for Tyson Chandler, who had his highest scoring game of the series on Saturday. Unfortunately, that was only a 6-point effort to go with 7 rebounds in 30 minutes.
Well, I like that here we are in the first couple minutes, and Dirk already got a good drive to the bucket. Didn't finish, but because the defense collapsed, Tice was able to pick up the mess, and now here he is at the free throw line.
And here's a look at his skin. There you see Dirk putting it on the floor. Obviously, the help defense had to come. That allowed Chandler to get that offensive board. And if you remember in Game 4, that's one of the things that allowed Dallas to control the game, is their ability to get second shots and get a second opportunity at that offensive end.
You know, one of the stats that's blown me away so far, guys, is that Portland has the fewest second chance points of any team in the playoffs. And as we know, they're a team that really thrives on getting those offensive rebounds.
Well, they came into the series based on the regular season 8th in second chance points. Chandler with a defensive rebound after he just went 0 for 2 at the free throw line. Wallace with a miss. And the Mavs still look to get on the board. One missed shot by Dirk, one turnover, and a couple of missed free throws, and it's Sean Marion getting into the paint and getting Dallas on the board a little over a minute and 20 seconds in.
And Mark, that's going to excite me every time I see Dallas get something to the basket. I think that there's a premium on them finding a way to get some easy baskets in the paint.
They've had a couple of very low outputs, points in the paint-wise in this series. 18 in Game 1, 24 in Game 4. They've had two others, though, where they've scored over 30 points in the paint. As Kidd rebounds off the missed shot by Wesley Matthews. Both teams have started the game by making one, missing two. Here's Chandler to the basket. There's a collision, and an offensive foul is called on Tyson Chandler. LaMarcus Aldridge steps up and absorbs the contact, and Chandler is called for an offensive foul, the Mavericks' second turnover of the game, and his first foul.
I'll take it because it's aggressive going to the hoop. Obviously, Campbell with good position. But seeing Tyson Chandler attack the basket, I think, is a plus for the Mavericks in this game.
He has battled foul trouble, though, in this series, and that's the one thing, of course, that concerns you, is can he stay out on the floor? The second half, the foul trouble really manifested itself the other day as Aldridge misses. A rebound grab by Nowitzki. Kidd on the drive to the hoop. And the rebound is punched outside to Gerald Wallace. Both teams a little sluggish here early on as it's out of bounds over to Dallas. Wallace dribbled it off his leg out of bounds.
Yeah, great hands by Tricks. He ripped Gerald Wallace in the midcourt. Got the steal going back the other way.
Both teams have two turnovers, and they've only scored 2 points so far. Mavericks had 15 turnovers in Game 4. They had 16 in Game 3. Obviously, both problematic areas. A three is missed by Deshaun Stevenson. Marcus Camby rebounds. Stevenson so far in this series has now tried 7 three-pointers. He's made 3 of them. Defensively, it's Stevenson down on the block against Wallace. He's doubled. Miller, not a good three-point shooter, puts it on the floor, knocked out of bounds by Dallas as Miller went to the deck. 5 on the shot clock here for Portland as they'll throw in baseline.
Man, and I love what Tricks has done so far, and I want to say this, before the game, he seemed really amped up. He seemed really pumped up just in the layup line, standing down there on the baseline, and so far he's really been dialed in defensively.
And he had his best game in Game 4. His offense, I thought, was crucial to Dallas taking control in the third.
Deep 2 is missed by Wallace. And a rebound taken by Tyson Chandler. His 4th one here in the early going. The Mavericks get a quick shot attempt in the early offense, and it's Dirk getting his first hoop.
I was just going to say, I thought Jason Kidd had a layup, but that's a layup for Dirk Nowitzki, so we'll take that one.
Nowitzki had a 20-point game in Game 4, his lowest scoring output. His high game of the series was Dallas's Game 2 victory when he had 33 in a 101-89 win. A win that seems long ago and far away after the events up in the Pacific Northwest as a drive to the hoop is finished by Wesley Matthews. Matthews lays it in. Both teams are 2 for 6. Marion in the lane. The runner won't go. Kept alive. Tyson Chandler has it back, and he finger rolls it home. Didn't go up to get the power jam, but it's 2 on the board nonetheless.
And I think you've got to really give a lot of credit to Marion for not only taking it inside, but keeping it alive on the offensive glass for Chandler to go ahead and finish it off.
A little over 4 minutes played. Mavs already had 3 offensive rebounds. They get a second chance basket there. Wallace involved early on for Portland. Taking his 4th shot, his second make. Scoreboards in the first quarter are brought to you by AAA Texas. Visit AAA.com for a quote on auto insurance. Portland ties it up at 6. Chandler inside again, foul.
Good to see him active early in this game. If Dallas can establish something inside tonight, it's going to give him more of an opportunity in this Game 5.
Well, we haven't seen it in a while, but don't forget that Tyson Chandler was a guy who averaged over 10 points a game in the regular season for Dallas. He shot over 65% for the floor. He had 37 out of the 74 games, exactly half the games he played in the regular season. He scored in double digits. He had 4 games this year where he scored over 20, and he also added 18 double-doubles. So he was a player in the regular season who put up numbers, but he has not done that in this first-round series.
But there you see him being very aggressive, Mark. You talked about what he has done offensively. I thought when Tyson was playing the Mavericks were playing their best basketball offensively, he was an offensive factor. So I think you can use him offensively in a lot of situations.
In the regular season series against Portland, in 3 games. He only played in 3 of the 4. He averaged just over 12 points and shot 81% for the floor. As Nicholas Batum has gone into the game, Batum checks in and Gerald Wallace goes out. Portland makes the first substitution. Dallas with 2 Chandler free throws. They have an 8-6 lead. Deflection by Kidd, but Portland keeps it. It's Aldridge. Shot clock down to 5. A defensive switch. Matthews over Chandler, and he gets the score.
That's just a nice aggressive offensive move. Tyson Chandler smart not to pick up his second foul on that one.
Little bobble by Stevenson as he's hounded up the floor by Andre Miller. Blazers tie the score at 8. Little pick and roll action here between Marion and Chandler. Inside to Tyson, finishes again. A lot more touches early in the game on offense, to say the least, for Chandler.
And you saw really good patience there for Marion, letting the play develop.
Miller's shot rolls off the rim, no good. The tip in missed by Canby. Mavs have a 2-point advantage. Dirk goes to work, it is doubled. Cross-court pass to Stevenson, and Stevenson, that pass was not on target, and it led him his momentum toward the sideline. He ends up stepping out of bounds.
Well, the other thing for Stevenson, he has to pay attention to what Portland is doing defensively.
Yeah.
They double-teamed Dirk Nowitzki right away, and he had his back turned to the pass, which I think he could have easily snuck under the basket for an easy shot.
Canby out front. Aldridge. Tough shooting game the other day for Aldridge. He went 6 of 16, but sticks that one.
Man, that is a ridiculous shot because Tyson had that covered.
If that beats you, you're going to get beat. That's not going to beat you in this game, that difficult a shot.
Trailing the play, Marion from Jason Kidd. Aldridge's hoop ties it at 10. We're due up for a timeout of the next dead ball as we're under 6 minutes left in the first quarter. A little feeling out process perhaps here early on. Steal by LaMarcus Aldridge, playing the passing lane, intercepted the dish by Marion, and it's an offensive foul on Batum. Drawn by Jason Kidd. There's a timeout on the floor with 5:28 left in the first quarter. Batum commits his first foul, and that's the second offensive foul that has been committed by Portland early on. Batum went into the game earlier because Wallace has 2 fouls, and Batum just picked one up now. Dallas and Portland tied at 10 at the first time out of the game with 5:28. Seeing tonight's Why Pay More scores brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Early on, we're seeing that because Tyson Chandler is more involved with either plays being run for him or just offensive rebounds and putbacks.
Well, he has all 3 offensive boards for the Dallas Mavericks, and if it's one thing that Dallas can do a little bit better in this series, it's get points in the paint. So far, doing a solid job in that area.
And you know what I feel like we've seen so far, guys, is more so than the other 4 games, a lot of their early flow stuff where they get stops and push the ball and try and get shots before the half-court defense sets up.
And you're right. That's obviously an area where the Mavs can improve, averaging the lowest points in the paint per game so far in the playoffs. Jason Terry checked in at the timeout. That's the first substitution for Dallas. No other changes made by Portland. They'd made that one sub with Batum going in when Wallace got his second foul. On the drive, to the basket, finished by Dirk.
Everything is to the basket right now for the Mavericks, which really can pay dividends for them late in this game if they continue to attack.
Team foul-wise, the Mavs have not committed one. Portland has 2. Cut in from the weak side and a finish by Wesley Matthews. Matthews has 3 hoops early on. Andre Miller gets his first dime.
So much attention that time paid to what Aldridge and Canby were doing. Matthews was able to slip down the lane for that cut, and a great feed by Miller.
Pass to Chandler, shoved in the back as he tried to make the catch. Portland's 3rd team foul with 4:37 to go in the first. That's the first on Andre Miller. It will be Dallas ball, 14 to shoot, as Peja checks in, and Dirk gets his customary first quarter break.
And just looking inside, Mark, you'll never know how much pressure it puts on your opposition's defense when you're trying to make a conscious effort to get the ball inside.
Stojakovic had 8 points in Game 4 Saturday. Had a 21-point eruption in Game 2. Jason Terry goes baseline and turns it over. Bobbled the dribble and then ended up bouncing it on the end line. So a turnover committed by Dallas, and that has been an area that caused them problems in Games 3 and 4. And tonight they've got 5 here in the first quarter. A few boos rained down as a little animosity generated for Brandon Roy for some Dallas fans after they saw Roy do what he did, do a number on Dallas in Game 4. And Game 3, for that matter.
He had 2 points in 2 games here, and then we know what he did in 3 and 4 there.
Post up, Andre Miller. Swinging into the corner to Roy. The closeout by Sean Marion. Leans in off the pump fake and misses, trying to beat the shot clock. Tied at 12 with 8 minutes played in the first quarter. Marion in the lane. Tough catch there for Chandler. Outside to Kidd. Badly misses on a 3, but it's tipped back out to him. Chandler knocked it out. Shot missed in the lane. There's Chandler's 7th rebound. After Terry missed, Chandler is fouled.
It's playoff basketball, and a lot of things that take place is going to be in the paint, on the glass. Tyson doing a tremendous job of making his presence felt.
He gets 2 offensive rebounds in this sequence. First, Kidd badly misses the 3. It's punched out by Chandler. And then he'll get another one here off the miss by Terry.
Just a lot of aggressive plays by Tyson Chandler, keeping it alive on one end and grabbing that rebound, and got fouled on the second try.
You know, and the emotion that we just saw there, I know that we've got the nationwide audience on NBA TV tonight, and a shout out to everyone watching across the country. That was really something that Chandler, it will obviously never show up statistically, but what Chandler was praised for so much this year by Maverick fans and by the coaching staff was that he was a fiery player who brought so much emotion, brought so much passion to this thing that previously didn't exist.
Yeah, and you definitely have to have somebody step up and be that. I think Dirk and Jay Kidd are both kind of quiet leaders, lead by example, but you have to have somebody that's providing that energy, and he's done it. And when you have a guy that provides energy and plays defense the way he does, that's a huge cog to this team.
And as Rick has said before and after many games, the energy, the passion, that's infectious. Has shot free throws well this year, although tonight is only 1 of 4. He split on that trip. Aldridge with the miss. Marion with a rebound, and the Mavs have ground out a 1-point lead, and they try to extend it here at 3:20 left in the first quarter. Rudy Fernandez checked in a moment ago for Portland. Terry will get it back. Baseline J is on the money.
Give and go basketball, simplest game in the league. Simplest play, I'm sorry.
As old as Dr. Naismith, I believe, right?
It still works too, Mark.
From the corner, Brandon Roy, nope. Tipped out by Aldridge, a la Chandler. Portland has it back, and they'll take a timeout. 2:56 left in the first quarter. Low-scoring first quarter, not quite as low-scoring as we saw on Saturday when Dallas led 16-11 after one. 15-12 is the advantage, but still nearly 3 left in the first quarter. Compton, Tyson Chandler, and the Dallas Mavericks lead Portland 15-12. Big ups to the Mavs broadcast production crew for putting that together. 7 rebounds, 5 offensive boards for Chandler, and also 7 points as he set a tone for the Mavs here in the first 9 minutes. They lead it by 3.
So great, man, getting everybody so pumped. I knew we'd hear some MC Ren tonight, too. So great that Tyson came out just killing it. 5 offensive rebounds in 9 minutes.
Shredima is from Compton as well, the Mavericks president.
Shredima Usry, yes.
He doesn't get me amped up like Tyson does, though. They got different demeanors.
Me either, but just wondered if he had something to do with that.
Maybe.
Correa's into the game for Dallas. So is Brendan Haywood. Kidd and Chandler went to the bench. Dirk is back in. And Canby tips it outside. Marion also went to the bench. Portland has the ball back here. And a fresh 24 on Marcus Camby's 4th rebound of the game. Jason Terry, the defender here against Brandon Roy. Roy on the move, and he slithers his way to the basket. Shot was missed, but it was goaltended by Dallas. Score the basket. Brandon Roy with his first points of the game and the first bench points. And John Goebel, one of the 3 officials, might be overruled here. Now, Haywood came up through the net. You're going to see the play here. Hey, you can't do that.
Yeah, I think it's the right call, to be honest with you. Haywood obviously had his hand through the net.
Rick Carlisle lobbied for a moment, and the crew chief, Scott Foster, the officials, by the way, tonight, Scott Foster, John Goebel, and Tom Washington. Scott Foster came over and talked to John Goebel after Rick Carlisle said something, but John Goebel got the call right. Fingers up through the net. And so it's a basket scored for Brandon Roy. And Dallas has a 1-point lead. Jason Terry Gets a Dirk screen, a little two-man action between Terry and Dirk. Works frequently, does it there. The jumper missed right baseline. Camby with the pick. Roy on the move left. Inside of 2 minutes, Mavericks have not committed a team foul in the first quarter. They'll have one to give for the last 2 minutes. The Blazers do not, and the Blazers take the lead on that layup inside by Batum.
Well, and there they go, taking advantage of JJ, of course, on the block.
Now Barea underneath, bad pass. Now 6th turnover, there's a foul to give. It's not a clear path foul, but it is a foul that nevertheless slows down a fast break. And it will be Portland ball with 23 to shoot and 1:34 remaining in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think that was a really good decision by Jet, especially on the turnover. Go ahead and try and slow things down a little bit. Don't let this thing get out of whack here in the last couple minutes of the first.
Portland has the last 4 points since the timeout. They look to make it 6 straight, and they do. Roy with the drive and find Marcus Camby the flush.
I think it's important to make Brandon Roy a jump shooter. He wants to get off, I think, trying to get to the hole first. His first 2 shots were perimeter shots. He missed both of those. Don't give him any easy baskets. Keep him on the perimeter.
Dirk down low. Camby the defender. Spin move, fading, and no. With that miss, Dallas is shooting 40%. Blazers are shooting 47%. They're 9 out of 19. On the move, it's Roy again on the drive. Fernandez gives the ball up. Chris Johnson is in the game right now. They try to go to him on the pick and roll, but diving in front and stealing, it's Barea. Centers a 3-on-2. Terry, a short pull-up, no good. Kept alive by Brendan Haywood. Slapped back inbounds by Dirk. Chris Johnson, the rookie out of LSU who played in games 3 and 4. Nate McMillan is going to him here late in the first quarter of game 5. Mavs don't capitalize on the turnover. They've gotten into a little bit of a dry spell here as Batum hits, and it's 6 straight now for Portland. I beg your pardon, 8 straight. They go in front 20-15. Blazers do not have a foul to give. It's a differential of a second at the most. Shot clock to game clock. First 9 minutes were pretty good for Dallas, but they've gone into a dry spell here. Haywood, Dirk looked for him, lost the ball, thrown up ahead by Batum, and the quarter is over. It ends on an 8-0 push by the Trailblazers, and after one, in Game 5, with control of the series on the line tonight, you got Portland out in front of Dallas by the score of 20-15. Mavs go over 3 minutes at the end of the first quarter, not scoring, as Portland scored the last 8. The Trailblazers got back into the series by winning games 3 and 4, including game 4 in improbable fashion. Tonight, they score the last 8 of the first quarter. They'll take a 5-point lead in the second quarter here in Dallas.